The Empire laughed at ancient tech until the prototype wiped them out. Commander Zara Thorne stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Dreadnought Supremacy, watching the rebel settlement through reinforced plasma glass. The pathetic cluster of makeshift buildings sprawled across the asteroid's surface like a disease, powered by what appeared to be solar collectors and wind turbines technology that belonged in a museum, not on a battlefield. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Cade reported, his neural interface flickering blue as data streamed directly into his cortex. "Our quantum scanners detect no advanced weaponry. They're using projectile firearms, chemical explosives," and he paused, barely suppressing a laugh. "Analog computers. Actual circuit boards and wires." The bridge crew erupted in snickers. Admiral Voss, commanding the fleet from his neural throne, projected his voice across all ships simultaneously. "Primitive savages clinging to dead technology. This won't even qualify as target practice." Zara nodded, though something nagged at her. 3 months ago, this ragtag group of rebels had somehow disabled an entire patrol squadron near the Centauri Gate. The Empire's official report blamed mechanical failures, but the timing seemed too convenient. "What about their leader?" she asked. "The one they call the architect." Dr. Elena Vasquez, Cade read from his display. "Former Imperial scientist, expelled 20 years ago for refusing neural integration. She's been living in exile, collecting ancient artifacts and obsolete machinery. Our psychologists classify her as delusional. She believes pre-digital technology possesses some mystical superiority." Admiral Voss's amplified laughter echoed through the fleet channels. Mystical superiority. These rebels will learn that evolution doesn't move backward. Begin the assault. Deep within the asteroid's core, Dr. Elena Vasquez made final adjustments to what her followers called the prototype. It didn't look like much a room-sized contraption of copper coils, vacuum tubes, and mechanical switches that would have been considered cutting-edge in Earth's 20th century. But Elena had spent 2 decades understanding what the Empire had forgotten in their rush toward neural integration and quantum processing. "Doctor," whispered Marcus, her lieutenant, "their fleet has weapons that can crack planets. Are you certain this will work?" Elena's weathered hands danced across analog dials and physical switches. "Marcus, the Empire has made themselves vulnerable in ways they can't even comprehend. Every system they have, weapons, shields, navigation, relies on quantum processors that share neural network protocols. They've achieved perfect integration. Isn't that their strength? It's their fatal flaw." Elena activated the final sequence. The prototype hummed to life, its vacuum tubes glowing like amber stars. They've forgotten that the simplest systems are often the most resilient. What we're about to do, their quantum minds literally cannot process. The Imperial fleet opened fire with coordinated precision. Plasma cannons and antimatter torpedoes painted space in brilliant destruction. But as the weapons reached their target, something impossible happened. They simply stopped working. On the Supremacy, Cade frantically tapped his neural interface. "Ma'am, our weapons are experiencing systematic failures. The targeting systems are confused." "Confused?" Zara demanded. "They're trying to lock onto targets that don't register on any of our sensors. The quantum processors are receiving data they can't interpret." Admiral Voss's voice cut through the comm channels, no longer amused. All ships switched to manual targeting. But there was no manual targeting. The Empire had eliminated manual controls decades ago. Every system required neural integration, quantum processing, and network connectivity. And the prototype was flooding their networks with electromagnetic patterns that existed in spectrums. Their advanced systems had been designed to ignore frequencies considered obsolete, patterns that seemed random but followed mathematical principles that predated quantum mechanics. Elena watched through a periscope an actual optical device that used mirrors and lenses. Around her, operators worked mechanical switches and analog computers, their calculations written on paper with pencils. The prototype continued its work, broadcasting signals that the Empire's quantum minds interpreted as impossible contradictions. On the Imperial ships, chaos erupted. Neural interfaces sparked and died as they tried to process paradoxical data. Quantum computers, designed to handle multiple realities simultaneously, couldn't cope with deliberately chaotic analog signals that existed in only one state at a time. "The fleet is losing structural integrity," Cade reported, blood trickling from his deactivated neural ports. "The navigation systems are trying to be in 12 places simultaneously. Engineering reports that our quantum containment fields are fluctuating because they can't decide what reality they're supposed to maintain." Zara stared in horror as ships throughout the fleet began tearing themselves apart. The Supremacy's hull groaned as its quantum-stabilized armor phased between solid and energy states, unable to maintain coherence while processing the prototype's analog interference. "How is this possible?" Admiral Voss's voice crackled through failing comm systems. Elena's voice, transmitted through a simple radio signal, answered him. "You forgot that sometimes, Admiral, the most sophisticated lock can be opened with the simplest key. Your quantum minds are trying to process reality as infinite possibilities. But I'm showing them absolute certainties, analog signals that exist in one state, at one time, following one truth. Your systems are experiencing logical cardiac arrest." As the Imperial fleet destroyed itself trying to reconcile quantum possibilities with analog absolutes, Elena shut down the prototype. The sudden silence felt deafening after the electromagnetic chaos. Marcus stared at the scattered debris of what had been the sector's most powerful fleet. "Doctor, how did you know?" Elena picked up a simple pencil and began making notes on paper technology that would never suffer system crashes, never require updates, never be hacked by quantum algorithms. "Marcus, the Empire spent so long integrating their minds with their machines that they forgot something fundamental. Sometimes the most advanced technology is just an overcomplicated way of doing something simple." She looked up at the stars through her optical periscope, watching the last Imperial ship tear itself apart as its quantum processors tried to process analog reality. They laughed at ancient tech because they thought newer meant better. But they forgot that evolution isn't always about complexity. Sometimes it's about survival. In the distance, emergency beacons flickered from life pods containing Imperial survivors who would carry word back to the Empire about the day analog defeated quantum simplicity, conquered complexity, and ancient technology proved that sometimes the old ways were the best ways for a reason. The revolution had begun, one vacuum tube at a time.